There's a scene where a brutal fashion editor throws test after test at Haley Dunphy, expecting her to fail. He's not being cruel for no reason. He's genuinely trying to prove that the pretty girl in his office doesn't belong there. She doesn't fail. She reads the room, says the right thing at the right second, and walks out with a real job. Wait! A season later, Haley says something else, out loud on camera. Even someone as dumb as me can see that I'm a giant failure. The same girl who outsmarted a professional gatekeeper is calling herself the dumb one again, and nobody in the room disagrees. Not even the show. So here's the real question, and it's more specific than it sounds. At what exact point did the writers stop believing Haley could actually grow? If you've ever rewatched this show and felt like Haley deserved more, subscribe now, because that instinct is exactly what this channel digs into. On the surface, this is simple. Hallie is the pretty one, the one who fails classes, ditches college, and lives off charm instead of effort. That's the joke the pilot sets up and never really lets go of, except count how often Haley is right about people. There's a scene where Alex, the family's certified genius, writes a valedictorian speech nobody wants to hear. Cold, technical, correct. Hallie is the one who reaches her, not with facts, with exactly the right emotional pressure at exactly the right second. Alex changes the whole speech because of one conversation with her supposedly dumb sister. Wait, that's not charm. That's a skill Alex spent years in school and still never learned. Notice which kind of smart gets rewarded in this family, though Alex studies and everyone treats her path as the only real one. Haley reads people and everyone treats that like a party trick. The show never questions that hierarchy. It just agrees with it season after season. Watch closely, and the family does this on a loop. She fixes Alex's speech, and within the same episode, someone calls her the shallow one again. She lands the fashion job, and the family still jokes about her needing help reading a menu. That's not one bad writer's room decision. That's a pattern repeating in front of the exact people who should know better by now. Even Phil, the parent who notices everyone's hidden talents before anyone else does, keeps missing this one. He'll build Luke up over the smallest win, and turn right around and joke about Haley needing directions to her own bedroom, not out of malice, out of habit, which somehow makes it worse. A family that celebrates growth in every other kid, and still can't see it happening in this one. For one relationship, the show actually seems to notice its own mistake. Andy doesn't just date Haley. He watches her solve problems, and says so out loud more than once. He tells her directly that she's smarter than she thinks. Watch how that actually plays out, step by step. First, he notices something small, the way she reads a room before anyone else does. Then he says it back to her, plainly, without a joke attached. Haley looks almost confused the first time, like nobody's handed her a compliment without a punchline hidden inside it. Something shifts once someone finally says that and means it. She starts making steadier choices. She starts trusting her own read on people instead of apologizing for it. For a few episodes, growth actually sticks, quietly, without anyone in the family even commenting on it. Wait! Then the actor playing Andy leaves the show over a scheduling conflict, and the relationship just ends. Not because the arc was finished. Because the one person reinforcing Haley's growth got written out and nobody replaced that function for her. Her growth doesn't end because Haley regresses on her own. It ends because the show removes the only character built to notice it and never builds another one. So Haley goes back to Dylan, obsessive, physical, exactly where she started. That would be a decent place for this video to end. Except here's the part that actually reframes everything: photography. She shows a real eye for it. It fades. Okay, fine. One dropped hobby happens to everyone. A small business. She shows real hustle. That fades too. Huh. That's two now. Fashion. She survives the hardest test in the room and gets the job. For a second, it actually looks like this one sticks weight. Then a pregnancy storyline arrives, and the career conversation just stops. 3 careers, 3 real chances, 3 quiet exits. 1 dropped thread is a writing choice, 3 in a row is a pattern. And here's the exact point where that pattern becomes unforgivable, not just disappointing. It isn't the pregnancy itself. Plenty of women build a career and raise kids at the same time. The show already proved that in its own cast. Claire runs a house and runs a company, and nobody ever treats that as a stretch. Gloria does something similar, walking away from a life of being underestimated to build a real career of her own in the same house, in front of the same family. The blueprint wasn't just sitting there once. It was sitting there twice, and Haley still didn't get a turn. The turning point is smaller than that, and colder. It's the choice made quietly to let Dylan absorb the story instead of the fashion job the writers had just spent 2 seasons building. 2 paths open at the exact same time. The show picks the one that requires nothing new from anybody. Zazam out, and this stops being just Haley's problem. Plenty of shows have a version of her, the pretty one whose only real story is who she ends up with. Modern Family had 11 years and a hit-making writer's room to prove that trope wrong. For a while, it actually did. Then, right at the moment it mattered most, it let her become the trope anyway, because the trope was easier to write than the person it had already built. Maybe that's still fine, though. Motherhood is real growth, and plenty of people would call that a full life. Except Sarah Hyland, the actress who played Haley for 11 years, didn't see it that way. She said, plainly, that she wanted Haley to become a stylist, a brand builder, someone excelling at work and family the way real women do. She pointed out something simple, that plenty of hard-working mothers manage both a career and a home without the show treating it as a miracle wait. The actress playing the character wanted the exact version the writers had already proven Haley could be. They just decided not to finish writing it. Now look at the finale with all of this sitting there. She gets the husband. She gets the twins. Critics called it warm, satisfying, a happy landing. At first, that looks like a win, except it's the exact ending the show could have written for her on day 1, with none of the competence required to earn it. You could delete the fashion job, the gatekeeper test, the valedictorian speech, all of it, and the finale barely changes. That's not a coincidence in good writing, that's the sign of an arc that was never actually load-bearing. Every other Dunphy Kids ending needs their whole season to make sense. Hallie's doesn't. You could drop her into that same finale from season 1, skipping everything in between, and nobody watching would notice the difference. So back to that fashion office, and the girl who walked out with a real job that day, back to the same girl calling herself dumb a season later, with nobody correcting her. The saddest part was never that everyone else kept calling Haley dumb. It's that eventually Haley started saying it for them in the exact same words the show gave her in the first place. The show didn't ruin Haley by making her fail. It ruined her by making her stop becoming. That's the part no happy finale can undo. I'd love to know if you think she ever got the ending she actually earned. And if you like pulling apart the character work this show almost got right, subscribe, because there's more waiting here.